Rather than mourning together, they'd mourned apart, their grief a raw wound between them, a deep chasm that neither had been able to cross. Even after so many years, Charlotte sometimes wondered if she could have changed things. A word spoken into the silence, a hug offered at just the right time, tears shared rather than hidden. Maybe they'd still be together. But maybe not. Probably not. They'd been middle school kids when they'd met, best friends, allies, high school sweethearts, too young to understand how challenging and heartbreaking life could be. Floorboards creaked as she stepped into the small living room. Cozy was the word her grandmother had always used. Tiny was a more accurate description. When Daniel died, Charlotte and Adam had been saving money to build an addition. Instead, they'd purchased a burial plot and a casket. Charlotte frowned. It had been years since she'd thought about that. So many dreams had died with Daniel. She'd created new dreams, crafted a new life, imagined herself leaving Whisper Lake dozens of times, stayed through summers and autumns and long winters, into springs and back through summers again, seasons passing, life passing, while she sat on the swing on the back porch. Would she still be there 5 years from now? 10? 25? That was the question she'd been asking herself recently. The cottage had been standing in this spot for nearly 100 years, the Sears Roebuck bungalow built by her great-grandfather and passed down from one family member to another. Her grandmother had deeded it to her a year before Daniel's death, a 21st birthday gift and a celebration of the fact that Charlotte had made it through high school and college, despite the challenges of teen pregnancy and a special needs child. Pregnant at 17, married at 18, grieving parent at 22, divorced at 23, and now at 28, alone and mostly happy about it. It was hard to be hurt when there was no one around to hurt you. The cottage held memories and sorrows, but being there was solitary and safe, and she craved that as much as she craved anything. Clover loped through the living room, stopping near the front window, his head cocked to the side, his attention on the floor-length curtains. The lights were off, but she could see him there, a dark shadow in the gloom, his body stiff, his tail high and still. He growled, the sound making the hair on the back of her neck stand on end. Clover didn't growl. He rarely barked. His happy-go-lucky, calm personality made him the perfect therapy dog. "What's wrong, boy?" she asked, creeping to the window and easing the curtains back. It was still dark, the first rays of sun hours away. The motion sensor porch lights hadn't been tripped, and the yard looked empty, the old maple tree a hulking shadow against the blue-black sky. Clover growled again, pressing his nose against the window pane. Beyond the yard, a narrow dirt road separated her property from state land. Out here, there were more animals than people, more trees than houses, and more hiking trails than roads. The only other house on Charlotte Street belonged to Bubbles, her elderly neighbor. The octogenarian wandered the lake shore and the woods at all times of the day and night, collecting leaves and flowers, mushrooms and wild herbs. Charlotte had cautioned her to be careful. She wasn't as young as she used to be, and it was very easy to get lost and hurt in the Maine wilderness. People died there. People disappeared. But Bubbles had grown up on the lake. She'd learned the land before she'd learned to read. At least, that was what she'd told Charlotte. Still, Charlotte worried, and Clover's behavior made her worry more. "Stay," Charlotte commanded as she walked to the front door and opened it. Clover whined, but dropped down onto his belly. Good. The last thing she wanted was her dog getting in a tussle with a bear or a bobcat. More than likely, that was what he'd been growling at. On the off chance that Bubbles was outside, hurt or in trouble, Charlotte would take a quick walk to her property and make certain the old house was locked up tight. She grabbed her cell phone and tucked it into her pocket, but didn't bother grabbing the Bowie knife she carried when she hiked.